It's Thursday, February 1st, 2018. And normally on Thursday, I do something called Origins. Normally, I've done one. Um, I, I, I may ditch it. I can't really think of any other Origins other than the rub some dirt on it that I did. I had some other ideas, but they don't seem all that good. So instead, I am going to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2 being delayed. Because here's the weird part. I predicted it. But of course, nobody knows that. Only I know that. So, of course, that seems very legit, right? Yeah, you predicted it. Sure, you did. I did. I said September, but October is better for them. Now, the reason that I think Red Dead Redemption 2 has delayed itself until October of 2018, October 26th, I guess, is the actual date, is, you know, they just want more time to work on the game, which is fine. If Rockstar thinks they need more time to work on the game, I can wait till October. But my feeling is there's a little bit more that they're probably not telling us, and they'll never tell us. But my speculation is the reason that Red Dead Redemption 2 is probably a little part of why it might get delayed is because I don't think they really thought Grand Theft Auto Online was going to stay this popular. Grand Theft Auto Online, excuse me, is more popular than when it started. There is more users right now than there's ever been. And they're making more money now than they ever have. So if you are Rockstar and 2K Games, do you release another big franchise that might step on the toes of Red Dead Redemption? Because remember, when Red Dead Redemption comes out, you're probably going to be expecting a Red Dead Redemption Online. That's not saying that it's going to kill Grand Theft Auto Online, but you might lose some of your user base over there. Of course, the money will go over there instead, but why not wait to see if Grand Theft Auto loses a little bit of steam and then release Red Dead Redemption 2 and its online component? Now, here's the other thing I think can still happen. We'll get the single player of Red Dead Redemption 2 on October 26th. I think that's a hard date. I don't think they're going to move off of that. But remember, Grand Theft Auto Online did not come out with Grand Theft Auto 5. In fact, I think it came out a year and a half, maybe 2 years after. Think about a year. So, what if Grand Theft Auto Online is still popular? Well, here's what you do. You basically hold back Red Dead Redemption Online. You basically just say, it's not quite ready. And it probably won't be ready because online you can find bugs in online games all the time. There is no perfect online game. So there's always bugs somewhere. There's always some bug or exploit that they're always having to patch out. So they could sit there and realistically say that. So you hold it off a little bit until the fans basically are playing Red Dead Redemption and are basically clamoring for it, saying, when is it coming out? When is it coming out? And then maybe they go, after the holiday season, they go, oh, it's ready in January. Here you are to start the new year 2019. Here's your Red Dead Redemption Online. And then Grand Theft Auto Online can kind of fade away a little bit. There'll still be a ton of people playing it, but now there'll be a bunch of people playing Red Dead Redemption Online, and they can move the money over to there. So I wish I had a video. I wish I had put the video up when I said I was going to put the video up. So because I didn't put that video up saying that Red Dead Redemption would come out in a holiday season of 2018, I'm now going to make my prediction on two other major games, and we'll see if I'm right. Because if I'm not right, then people will sit there and go, well, you weren't legit on the other one either, which is fair. So the first one we're going to talk about is Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII, they're remaking it basically. It's basically the original game, the original story, but with all the fancy graphics that we have now. We know that Square Enix doesn't really come out with their games in a timely manner. So my prediction for this is, and they've never really given us any kind of a real timeline. They've just kind of announced the game. This may have been announced at E3 2016 or 2015. It was announced a while ago, and they've been pretty radio silent on this thing ever since. But my prediction is, knowing Square Enix the way they are, they take a long time to make a game. Now remember, they're releasing this game episodically. So they're not giving us everything all at once. They're going to release it in chunks. Now, this is a little bit different than the Hitman game that they were. I think Hitman was something that they were responsible for, that they released that episodically. It didn't do very well. But the Let's Plays I saw on it on Outside Xbox looked like fun. I mean, they always looked like they were having a good time. But I don't think the game did what they wanted it to do. Releasing it, I still don't think we're used to having a game that we know is going to be released in pieces. Final Fantasy VII, by what they've said, will be released in pieces so that they can release the first chunk of the game in a timely manner. Because if they were going to release the whole game, this thing probably wouldn't be out till 2026. So I'm predicting that you're probably going to see the first Final Fantasy VII episode probably about March of 2020. I think they'll do it, basically they'll do it to start their new fiscal year. So they'll release it in March, which is the springtime, which a lot of people think is a strong time to start your game. Because remember, originally Red Dead Redemption 2 was thinking March to May. So Final Fantasy VII steps into putting it in March in 2020. That's what I think the first episode of Final Fantasy VII will come out. Knowing how Square delays things, knowing that they take a long time to do some of this stuff, and probably there's a lot of challenges that come with rebuilding a game that is a classic in a lot of people's minds. There are a lot of people that have a very big attachment to that game, an emotional attachment to that game. So they have to be spot on with this thing. They can't screw it up. Now, gamers, you can't please them all because they're going to say the original game was fine. People that hated Final Fantasy VII aren't going to play this one anyway. Myself, when it comes out, I'm going to play it. I want to play it. I like the original Final Fantasy VII. I want to play this one. Will I maybe be critical of it if I don't have an active time battle system and they go to more of a real-time battle system? Maybe. But if they do it right, then I can't really complain. Do it like Dynasty Warriors. Have it just be a hack and slash. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Dynasty Warriors does the hack and slash stuff just fine. We don't need Square Enix to do it. They have their own systems that are pretty good. Okay, so my prediction for Final Fantasy VII is the first episode will be out probably March. I'm gonna give it a good March of 2020. So we'll move on to the next game. Now we recently got a little tweet from this game. Cyberpunk 2077. This is basically CD Projekt Red, who made the Witcher series, is making this game. Now, all we've really ever gotten from it is the one teaser trailer. I think that's the only thing that's out for it. I don't think they've even released other screenshots. That tweet that said beep, there's a lot of people that speculate, well, is a heart monitor beep, or is it just some random computer beeping noise? I think it's because they want to let us know it's still alive. They just... CD Projekt Red, I think, is generating the buzz for this game really well. And they've said constantly, we will tell you when the game is going to be released, when the game is done. So when they know when the game is going to be done, that's when they'll tell us when it's going to be released. And I like that. They're going to make sure the game is right before they put it out. I don't think you'll find a lot of flaws in that game when it does finally release. So I don't know CD Projekt Red that well, and I can't remember how The Witcher 3 was released or anything like that, or I think it had a delay or two. So CD Projekt Red building this game from the ground up, and I think they announced this game like 2015. So it's 2015, 2014. It's been a long time since they announced this thing. So my prediction for them to release Cyberpunk 2077, I'm going to say you're probably going to look at that little beep. I think was just to kind of let us know it's alive. I don't think it's as close as we want to think it is. A lot of these companies like to release games around fiscal year ends or beginnings. They either like to finish their fiscal year strong for their shareholders, or they like to start them strong to let their shareholders know, look how bright the future is for our company. With CD Projekt Red, we'll kind of say that my thought is it's either going to be best case scenario. For me, best case scenario. I don't think they're going to pull a Fallout 4 on us where they announce at E3 that it's coming out 4 months later, 4 or 5 months later. I don't think we're going to get that. The earliest this game will come out will be January of 2020. That'll be the earliest. But they could pull a little bit back, and I think maybe May. I would say May of 2019. I think this game is a little over a year away. May of 2019 gets it out just before the summertime. Kids are getting out of school. They're going to have a lot more free time. So you start to see your summer blockbusters are starting to come out around that time. Memorial Day is around that time. So I'm gonna say May of 2019 for CD Projekt Red releasing Cyberpunk 2077. So those are my two games I'm on record for. The first episode of Final Fantasy VII, the remake, will be March of 2020, and May of 2019 is when we'll see Cyberpunk 2077. Might fly in kind of the face of, because that means they would be releasing it just before E3, which you don't see a lot of big games coming out just before before the the E3 conference. But I think that CD Projekt Red does things differently than a lot of other game companies, so that might fit their mold. And I think that the game will just be ready by then. And they've always said they'll release the game when it's ready. So I'm going to stay with May of 2019 for Cyberpunk 2077. And Final Fantasy VII, first episode, February 2020. Sorry. It's going to be March of 2020. Did I say March of 2020? I hope I said March of 2020. Yes. March of 2020. I'm going to repeat it 1,000 times if I have to. March of 2020 for Final Fantasy VII. And once again, Red Dead Redemption 2 has been delayed until October 26th of this year. I think that's going to be a hard date. I don't think we're going to get another delay from Rockstar. And I'm looking forward to it. The first game was incredible. And I really love the trailers and the new screenshots that they show of this game. It looks like it's going to be a fantastic game, and why wouldn't we think so? Rockstar does an incredible job on this stuff. So with all that being said, to the troops past, present, and future, thanks for the freedom.